Hello and welcome back to Paddock in Track, the show where we bring you news on and off the track. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Max.
Hey guys.
And today we are bringing you a few things today. I think we have a action-packed episode. We're gonna bring you. What's the order again?
A couple news. So we're gonna start with Imola. We're gonna speed through some of these because, as you could tell, we are very behind. So we're gonna start with Imola, then we'll do Monaco, and we'll do Spain. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about the F1 movie because I finally watched it.
Yeah, I know it took a while. I already watched it twice in the theaters before.
Oh wow. Okay. Well.
Got to watch it.
But yeah. So we'll start out here with Imola. This was a good Grand Prix. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
So starting out with the qualifying, we had Oscar Piastri on pole. Big for him as he was leading the championship coming into this race.
Yes.
He continued to lead after this race, but Max Verstappen behind him in second, so that's sort of his second biggest fight. At this point, Verstappen though is kind of all over the place with his race finishes. Especially earlier in the season, it wasn't great for him. Even up until this point, it was just kind of iffy.
Yeah.
So, but Lando Norris is down in fourth, so that's Oscar's biggest competitor. And then George Russell between them in third place. And weirdly enough, Fernando Alonso in fifth place. We don't see that a lot.
Well,
anymore.
Yeah, we don't. And then we also see both Williams in P6 and 7, Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon.
And then Lance Stroll. I mean, the Aston Martin must have been a good car for this track because Lance Stroll 8th place and Fernando Alonso 5th place. Isaac Hadjar comes in 9th ahead of Pierre Gasly, and then Charles Leclerc down in 11th place, so missing out on Q3 for both the Ferraris.
Yes.
As Lewis Hamilton's behind him in 12th place.
And then we see Kimi Antonelli down in P13. Both the rookies, Kimi Antonelli, Gabriel Bortoleto, 13-14. And then we got the rest of the grid. In P16, we have Franco Colapinto. So he did replace Jack Doohan. It was because of, performance clause?
Yeah, so, Doohan's contract was very kind of ambiguous, and we didn't really know a ton of details. But, yes, Doohan has been replaced. Kind of unfortunate because it's only been, 5 or so races.
Yeah, and it's funny because Franco Colapinto replaces him and then immediately crashes the car.
Yeah, they had to rebuild it in a night, which is a lot of work. But yeah, so Colapinto's coming in. We'll see how this season goes for him as we get further into the races. But I don't know. It just seems a little rash. You have a driver who's kind of underwhelming for the first couple races, and then immediately you're like, okay, let's change it up. I'm sure Franco Colapinto brings in a ton of money.
Oh, for sure. From
and a ton of new fans.
Yeah.
However, it's kind of weird.
Should have brought in Kush Maney.
Yeah, maybe,
got all those fans from India.
Yeah.
If it's a fan reason, then,
Yeah.
I guess Colapinto has already raced before.
Maybe
they wanted to put someone in there.
And, he had a couple decent results with Williams.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about this move.
We'll continue to monitor.
But Alpine's, always been mediocre, so it doesn't really matter either.
However, Pierre Gasly did qualify 10th.
I don't know, but Pierre Gasly's not mediocre. It's just the team sucks. It's just
and then the rest of the grid is pretty standard. Yuki Tsunoda started from the pit lane. And yeah. Cool. So getting into the race now. This was a pretty good race, I would say. When at the beginning of the race, it was kind of what we have seen in past seasons. Verstappen immediately gets past Piastri. A very, very good move from him coming around the outside.
Yes.
Of those first, basically those first 2 corners. Got right around. And then the thing that we noticed was that Russell was really having to push to keep mostly Lando Norris behind him.
Yeah.
Of course, there's people behind Norris, but that was not Russell's biggest concern, especially not at that moment. But, he was really pushing hard, and those tires were not working very good for him. He pitted very, very early on those, and a big part of that was because of that fight that he had with Norris for just so long. But also, it seemed like everyone was kind of struggling on these tires, on the mediums especially. Pretty much the top 12 or so had started on those medium tires, and then they really seemed to fall off fast.
Yeah. So then we also see that there were a lot of teams that have issues with the wheel nuts during pit stops.
That was weird.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
I mean,
we don't see that very much anymore.
Yeah, it's like it loses a lot of time. Well, not I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of time, but it is. It's a battle of tenths in this sport. So losing that time for a lot of teams is pivotal for a race like this, and it was you don't really see this often, as you said. So
yeah, it was kind of more like Steak, how Steak was having problems last year. But it seemed like everyone was having issues. So that was kind of strange. Just it seemed like a constant thing. We also saw Antonelli, unfortunately, out of the race.
Which we don't really see. I mean, we talked about this before, that engine problems weren't really an issue. But now I feel like we jinxed it because Antonelli just lost power.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say exactly what happened because teams are always so vague with this. But yeah, it seemed like he really just lost power. Which is a shame, especially at his home race.
Yeah.
But like you said, yeah, we've talked before, and engine problems just have kind of become a thing of the past this season, and this season and the season before, and now all of a sudden, engine problems for Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, especially at his home race.
Yeah. But this did bring out the safety car, which gave Verstappen a free pit stop and helped him to maintain the lead that he had because that battle with Piastri wasn't the closest, but a pit stop could impact that greatly, as we've seen in other races. Hamilton was able to get past George Russell. So Hamilton, even starting pretty far back, to his credit, did a good job in this race. Ended up finishing 4th place. Again, starting 12th, so good for him.
It's one of his best results of the season, I think.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And, still getting used to that Ferrari, I suppose, at least a little bit maybe. But, yeah, he was able to get past George Russell, his former teammate, who has been doing pretty good recently in that Mercedes.
Yeah.
It seems like it was not the best car at this race, at least. Because Charles Leclerc also got past him, and Alex Albon passed him as well in the Williams. So that kind of says a lot when you get passed by the Williams.
Yeah.
But Charles Leclerc did get past Alex Albon. Albon was able to pass him back, though. So a very good result for Albon here.
I mean, Williams in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Had a really good race.
Yeah,
so.
5th and 8th with Alex Albon in 5th, Carlos Sainz in 8th. Definitely a really good result for them. Solid haul of points. I mean, they've got 2 really good drivers with them. Now it's about the car, but the car seems to be doing okay at least.
Yeah, it is. I mean, definitely big step up from last season.
Yeah,
I mean, last season was just like tragic.
A little bit, yeah. We also saw right at the end, there was a little bit of a fight between Norris and Piastri. Honestly, it wasn't that much, which makes you wonder about their papaya rules.
Yeah.
This was kind of an easy one for McLaren, at least, because Norris was on far newer tires than Piastri, so it makes sense just to promote Norris, especially if you maybe have a chance at attacking Verstappen. He wasn't able to. He finished 2nd,
but he was kind of far ahead of Piastri too.
Yeah.
At the end of it, so I mean, it made sense. It justified the position where Lando Norris got, so it was okay.
Yeah, but again, it makes you wonder about those papyrus. Is how much are they really impacting? At the end of the day, how much do they impact how they race?
I mean, if it comes down to a title fight, what happens?
That is the question. That is the question. Because these 2 drivers have been very good throughout the season, and at this point, they both have a decent shot at that championship. And so, it becomes a question of, well, who, if it comes down to it, who do you choose? Who do you prioritize for pit stops and things like that? Then that becomes tricky, and you got to kind of rely on someone to step up and be like, okay, I'll take the worst pit stop, or I'll do this or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the F1 movie. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but
exactly.
It's like, someone has to sacrifice to get the win.
Yeah. And then we saw, that's about it pretty much. Again, like I said, a good race from the Ferraris. Not podiums, but still good for them considering where they started. This is a solid points haul for the 2 McLarens, as well as for Max Verstappen, obviously coming in first.
Also see Yuki Tsunoda slip into the top 10.
Yes, so starting from the pit lane, that's
pretty good.
That's decent.
Yeah.
And Isaac Hadjar getting some points, and Franco Colapinto.
Ocon had to also retire.
Yeah, and then that was apparently because of an air consumption issue, which don't know exactly what that means, but it's something with probably airflow and things like that, and it sounded like he had really high tire drag, so I'm sure something with cooling and things like that.
Yeah.
So on to Monaco. Monaco, my least favorite race.
Least
No,
favorite
I
race 'cause
know.
it's the least amount of action.
I know it's historic, and I know it's an important race, but it is kind of a boring race. But looking at the starting grid, Lando Norris starting on pole with Charles Leclerc behind him and Oscar Piastri in third.
You know, you always rely on Charles Leclerc to do
But
pretty well
does
on this
this
track.
confirm the theory that they make a car? Ferrari makes a car exclusively for Monza
No.
and Monaco.
I think that Leclerc is just that guy for his own home race. And that's
I
it.
don't
mean,
know.
I don't know. Maybe
know.
they just do.
It seems suspicious to me because they always seem to magically improve.
Yeah, but Lewis Hamilton still is not doing good. He's still
But
in
he's
seventh.
in seventh. That's higher than he qualified in Imola.
Okay, maybe.
It's a little suspicious.
We also had Fernando Alonso qualify over you, so
This is true.
yeah.
But
I don't know.
and Isaac Hadjar in fifth place.
It's pretty good.
A great qualifying for him. Max Verstappen in fourth place. And then finishing up the top 10, we do have Esteban Ocon slipping his way into Q3. In eighth place, Liam Lawson. So both the Racing Bulls into Q3.
Yeah.
More than what can be said for both the Red Bulls. So impressive from them. Alex Albon finishing in qualifying 10th.
His teammate right behind him in 11th.
Yeah, and Yuki Tsunoda, to his credit, made it up to 12th this time. So that's something.
Not the pit lane.
And both the Mercedes stuck in 14th and 15th. And for Antonelli, that was because of a crash that he had in Q1. So he was in 15th. He must have made it into Q2, but based on time. But then
interestingly,
didn't have a time.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, though, George Russell had to retire due to a power unit issue, which was the same thing that happened to Kimi Antonelli last race, which makes you think that Mercedes has an issue with their power unit.
No, that's interesting because it doesn't matter. Fernando Alonso also retiring from this race. Aston Martin runs the Mercedes engine.
Oh, so maybe it's a Mercedes problem.
That's an interesting. It's just an interesting pattern to see.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean causation, or what is it? Correlation does not mean causation.
Yeah.
However, it could. And so that's an interesting trend though from Mercedes. Concerning trend for their power unit team.
Yeah.
And a concerning trend for all the teams that rely on that Mercedes power unit. Namely, let's see, who is that at this point? Williams. That's the Mercedes and the I think I know for sure then the Aston Martins. And so that's concerning for them. And not what they would be looking for in an engine.
And again, like we said, it doesn't really happen. So it's more concerning that these in this day and age, these engines are losing power.
Definitely.
So it's interesting to see, and we'll take a look later on to see if that it has an effect on later races.
To look at the final result though, it looks a lot like the qualifying results. Lando Norris coming home first, Charles Leclerc second, Oscar Piastri third, Max Verstappen fourth, and Lewis Hamilton gaining a place on Isaac Hadjar, as well as Fernando Alonso, like we said, ended up retiring. So Lewis Hamilton ends up fifth, Isaac Hadjar sixth. Still a very good result for him. And his teammate Liam Lawson in eighth, so gaining some good points for Racing Bulls.
Yes.
Esteban Ocon coming home seventh, which is a pretty good result for him.
Albon and Sainz 9 and 10, so good result for Williams.
And George Russell only able to make it up to 11th. Pierre Gasly ends up does not finish. He has a collision, ruins his tire and suspension. Alonso, we said, does not finish.
Bortoletto crashed into the wall at the beginning of the race.
But he manages to make it back up to 14th.
So, yeah.
And Yuki Tsunoda effectively coming home last. Kimi Antonelli was 3 laps down. What's interesting to note here, though, is that everyone up to 5th place was lapped. Which really tells you something about Monaco and about how this track kind of works. Because once you fall behind, you fall behind.
Well, it's interesting because, Isaac Hadjar had 2 pit stops at the beginning of the race, and Liam Lawson was holding up the rest of the grid.
Yeah.
So I think that also had to do with the part with help with keeping them down 2 laps down, because everyone below 8th place was 2 laps down.
This is true.
So I think that had to also do with Liam Lawson as well, holding back the track. But that's interesting to see as well.
Yeah, no, Liam Lawson did a really, really good job, actually, of holding everyone back. Like you said, he really held people up for a long time.
Isaac got 2 pit stops and held his position.
Basically 2 free pit stops. And that's really, really, really good teamwork between the two of them.
Yeah.
And hopefully for their sake, something they can continue into the future.
For sure.
And now to do Spain. Spain, obviously far better than Monaco to watch.
Yeah. Well, anything is.
Of course, yeah. But at this one, we see Oscar Piastri starting out on pole with Lando Norris behind him. So the two McLarens 1-2. And then Verstappen, of course, this is kind of a common theme now. You're going to see Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, then Max Verstappen coming in third.
Well, then you see George Russell in the mix there, too. He's
fourth, yeah. And then both the Mercedes and both the Ferraris. It looks a lot like things used to. You got them. Well, the McLarens are a bit of a new addition to the group, but the Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari up at the top is, what we're kind of used to. And now throwing
these
the McLarens
are the top 4 teams in the constructors as well.
Yeah.
So you'll expect this to happen.
Yep. So that's Lewis Hamilton 5th, then Kimi Antonelli 6th, and Charles Leclerc 7th.
Yeah, but you also got that odd Pierre Gasly P8 then.
And Isaac Hadjar, again, continuing this streak of Q3 appearances in 9th place, Fernando Alonso in 10th place, and then the Williams, one of their first races in a little bit that they have not had pretty good qualifying.
Carlos Sainz down in 17th.
Yeah, Alex Albon up in 11th, so still not Q3, but that's a pretty good result qualifying-wise. Yuki Tsunoda's last.
Okay.
Which is not ideal for him. Franco Colapinto ahead of him. And Lance Stroll withdrawal from the race.
Actually, Tsunoda is starting from the pit lane.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they modified his car.
So there's that. But yeah, so only 19 cars on the grid for this race because Stroll had an injury. But
yeah,
pretty standard qualifying for what we expected in this day and age. And throughout the race, there was a couple interesting parts. Namely, mostly came from Hulkenberg. He made up like 5 positions at the start, and then ended up coming home 5th place.
Yeah, that was really good.
Scoring some much needed points
and
for Kick
a late overtake on Lewis Hamilton at the end of the race to get into that 5th position. So a stake overtaking a Ferrari, that's
a little sad. It's a little sad.
Yeah.
But we saw like you said, so Verstappen ends up getting past Norris right at the start. A common theme we keep seeing, doesn't end up lasting. But Verstappen was able to get past Lando Norris right there at the beginning. But Oscar Piastri had a pretty commanding lead early and kind of stayed through it the whole time.
Again, we see Kimi have an engine issue.
Yep.
So again, Mercedes for the 3rd race in a row is having another engine issue. So this is
interesting.
Becoming a bigger problem. It's not good at all.
It's definitely something to watch.
Yeah.
Throughout the season to see if this is something that they're able to fix or if it's a continuing issue. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes on it, and we'll make sure to let you guys know.
And then it seemed like so this was huge because Verstappen and Russell were getting into it during the race.
A little bit. Well, before we even get to that, Leclerc managed to get past Verstappen because Verstappen almost ended his own race.
Yeah, he almost slipped off the...
Yeah, after the safety car restart. And it was very close to losing the car. He managed to catch it, which was very impressive. But Leclerc was able to get past him really easily right there at the restart. And then we get to the silly part of this race. So Verstappen was passed by Russell.
Yeah.
Verstappen overtook Russell off the track basically. And so they told Verstappen to give the place back to Russell. And of course, Verstappen being Verstappen said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And so Verstappen's big idea was to let
him pass.
Let him think he's going to let him pass. And then just ram into him. It did not work. He got a 10-second penalty.
Yeah.
And for what? I mean, I don't really understand the point of that. It was a little bit silly. Now they kind of hate each other. I think things have cooled off since then, but still.
Yeah, that was...
It was a little silly for Max Verstappen. He ended up finishing 10th because he got a 10-place grid not a 10-place grid penalty, sorry. A 10-second penalty.
Yeah.
Which took him all the way down to 10th place. So it's kind of a silly penalty to get because he could have just not run into him.
Yeah, it's a temper thing, so.
A little bit.
And we know this sometimes that Max Verstappen can have a hot head.
This is true.
So.
This is true.
Unfortunate to see, but
yeah, definitely.
This provides some entertainment.
This is true.
Yeah.
But a good result for the McLarens. Oscar Piastri wins it with Lando Norris behind him. Charles Leclerc managing to pick up a podium there. George Russell in fourth. Again, like we said, Nico Hulkenberg fifth place. Amazing result for him. And for Keke Sauber coming home with 10 points.
Yes.
Lewis Hamilton in sixth. Isaac Hadjar seventh. Again, points for him. Pierre Gasly eighth place. Fernando Alonso ninth. Like we said, Verstappen down in 10th. Yuki Tsunoda managed to make his way up to 13th. And the rest of the grid is pretty much what we would expect.
Yeah.
Now, we get to the thing Amaan has been waiting for a long time.
F1.
The F1 movie. Now, I have my thoughts. Amaan has his thoughts. I will try not to be too critical.
Well, okay.
But I did enjoy it.
Yes,
I will say.
I think overall, okay, so it was, I think, a very entertaining movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was mainly for. Because we see, obviously we're going to see a bunch of inaccuracies that, F1 fans will see and be like, oh, no, that's not supposed to be there. Monza is supposed to be this time. Spa is supposed to be here. Like, inaccuracies like that. And then, like, the dramaticies of, like, a crash, like, of Joshua Pierce's crash at Monza.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, it's inaccurate, but it was very entertaining. I really enjoyed the movie.
I will say I agree. It was an entertaining movie, and I think it's good at doing things like Drive to Survive did, which was that it helped to bring F1 to a more mainstream audience.
Yes.
And that's always good because more fans is always good. Especially for a sport that needs money to run, it's always a good thing. But even just it broadens this community that we have, and so that's always something that we like to see. I did enjoy some parts of it. So, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie, but there were things that So one of the things that I thought was really cool was the crash that Sonny Hayes has in his early career, where the car splits in half and he's like lying on the ground on the track. That actually happened. Not exactly how it was shown in the movie, but basically that crash actually happened. So that's a cool detail that most people wouldn't pick up on. But the fact that is actually a real thing that happened, impressive. And I appreciate that they took the time to figure that out.
Yeah.
I also like the focus that they had on the engineering side of things. Of course, it wasn't super technical, and I think that's a good thing because then you start to lose people when you get to too technical and things.
No, but it also shows like a behind the scenes thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is how. I mean, we always see like, oh, cars going around a track.
Yeah,
that's the sport. But there's more to it where they have all these like aero, power, like engine, all this stuff. That they have to figure out to actually get these cars to go fast on the track and gain an advantage. Which they did a really good job doing that. And to your point,
I really enjoyed it. And as someone who's interested in that side of the sport, it was really cool for me to see even just like the facilities they're using and the wind tunnel and how they're trying to redesign the front wings and the floor, and that was really cool. That was really interesting to me. Now I enjoyed the fact that they showed that it's not just this one guy driving the car, that it's a whole team that matters to make this car run.
Yeah, of course, you have the relationship between the technical director and the racer too, but I mean, we ignored those parts, but but it was
really cool, and I appreciate that they showcased the role of these people on the team. The team principal and the stresses that he has, and then like you said, the technical director,
and not just that, the relationship with the pit crew and stuff like that as well, which when they had the jogs every morning, it's like they're strengthening that relationship. That's showing that there's all these people on this team that it goes together to run it.
I really enjoyed that part of it. That was I think they did a good job at portraying that. To get to the things that there was a couple rules things that were issues, especially with going off the track and gaining an advantage. That was a common thing.
For sure.
There was a couple moments where there was definitely
the amount of times you break your front wing.
Yeah, that you can't do that. Back. You would be that whole scene with him like ruining his wing like several times to hold people up, that you would get disqualified for that.
Yeah.
Like to straight up, like you would get disqualified after like the third time. So that one was Also the crash Joshua Pierce has, like you said, that's not happening in real life.
No.
Things similar to that have happened, but not to that was a little extreme. And that's not really going to happen in real life. Hopefully for everyone who's racing's sake. But that was a little extreme. Also, like you kind of mentioned, there was a couple things with like the calendar. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like they would go from one race to another that weren't like after each other.
I mean, it doesn't even seem like that would be an issue either because it's at the end of the day a calendar. It's just an order of races.
Yeah,
But it's
it's
like
not
only
big
like
deal.
real F1 fans would pick up on
Yeah.
that. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
It wasn't really that big of an issue. I think the crash was one of them.
That was
That was weird. And then obviously
There
the one
was-
with the front wing.
There was one thing that it just I don't know. You didn't even have to be that much of like a hardcore fan to like notice that like sometimes they would have. So okay, this movie was filmed over 2 seasons. I believe it was the 2022 season and the 2023 season that they filmed this
change
over.
of cars.
And so sometimes you would see shots, especially when you would see the cars on the grid. The biggest thing I noticed was in the British Grand Prix. So they showed pictures, or they had filmed, and you could tell it was the 2022 Grand Prix. You could tell that the cars had certain liveries. That's the biggest thing. You can tell the car liveries. And then they showed a shot from the 2023 Grand Prix because you could tell because the McLaren was now in the chrome livery that they ran in 2023 that they didn't run in 2022. So, and there was things like, then you would notice like, okay, they started at the beginning of the race, it was this year of car, and then you would see another clip where you would see the same team, but it was a different car, you could tell. And so that was one of the things that I was like, okay, that seems like a little detail that maybe we could have fixed. I understand that movie production takes a long time and that a Formula 1 season probably does not account for how long it takes to film a movie.
Yeah.
However, it just seemed like one of those things, it's like a small detail
Also
that
didn't
like
account for team
people-
changes either.
yeah.
We saw Alfa Romeo at the beginning of the movie.
No, there were still Alfa Romeos because it was 22 and 23, so that was fine.
I guess.
But the livery changes were an issue.
A little bit, yeah.
And so that was one of those things that I did personally, even as someone just not even if you didn't know about Formula 1, but you could notice these things that like the color of the car is different, and you would see that and be like, okay, so that's kind of weird. But other than that, I agree. Like you said, it was an entertaining movie.
Yes.
I enjoyed watching it. I appreciated also that scene at the beginning with the IMSA race was very good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts of the movie because the way that they filmed it was really impressive. I saw some behind the scenes stuff about that. That was really cool, and just the team and his like, I don't know, they're like sleeping in the camper even. That's what they do. That's what those drivers do. And to see that was really cool, and I really liked that scene. I don't know if they actually shoot the fireworks while they're at full speed. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I've seen them in the past do it under yellow flags, but you know, that whole scene with that race, I really enjoyed that with the Daytona race.
Yeah, but also the one thing I didn't like though about this movie was his path to F1 again, which was he crashed the car when they were practicing.
That was a little silly.
And then they just let him in the car.
Yeah.
Basically that was like his tryout. So like before he like showed up to the facility and they were like, oh yeah, take it for a spin and see what you can do. And then he crashed the car, but he took off 0.3 of a second.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of weird.
No, it was weird. I mean, it's like the Franco Colapinto sort of thing. Yeah, it's kind of weird because in F1, like you get all these people who have been waiting their whole lives to be in F1, and then he's like this dude who's like, I don't know, 50 or 60. Probably 50. There's no way you're 60 years old and racing. That's the other thing. He must have been like far too old to be racing this because the cars that he was racing at the beginning or in like his early
He was
career.
doing Senna days, dude.
Yeah, it was an early Lotus or like an old Lotus that he was driving. And so then you're telling me all the way now he's driving. They keep calling him really old. And I'm like, how is he even like physically able to do it? That I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know.
But yeah, that was a little silly that he just crashes the car and then they're like, all right, let's do it. I don't know.
But overall, I think I'd give this movie like a 9.5 out of 10. It was really good.
It was a good watch.
I liked it, yeah.
I think something like Gran Turismo is enjoyable for people who like racing, and this was enjoyable for people who like movies.
Yes.
You didn't have to like racing to be able to watch this movie, but if you do like racing, I think you will still enjoy this movie as long as you don't like hyperfixate on the fact that there are some inaccuracies, because that's always going to happen. It's going to happen when you watch Drive to Survive. It's going to happen with anything.
Just anything you see, like if you see like something that's based off of history or anything, there's going to be inaccuracies. It's inevitable. I mean, you need to make an entertaining product.
Yes,
not everything is glamorous.
Yeah.
So yeah. But otherwise, it was a great movie.
It was a good movie. Yeah, I enjoyed it. All right, and I think that wraps it up for us here at Paddock and Track, and we will see you guys for the next one.
Goodbye.